Hello everybody. Today I'm working on this 2004 Ford Expedition, and what we're doing is alternator. We got a new alternator already here. What's happening is when the car is running, you put on the battery test and the alternator needle goes back and forth, just letting you know that it's intermittently charging. You got some issues with the rectifier. So we are getting a new battery because it was completely drained out. It's not holding charge anymore. I had on trickle and it did not want to stay charged. And then I'm changing the alternator. To start this job, you just need to remove all the cosmetics on it. Excuse me. Remove the air filter here. And then we're going to remove those two bolts to take the cap off. And then you got a clamp on throttle body to unbolt it and then take the intake tube out. Once you get these two bolts out, just lift the cover up out of the way. Next, I'm going to open this clamp. Perfect. And then we got to disconnect these vacuum lines here. Once you yank on this, this gets disconnected. You can try to pry these vacuum lines out of the way. Once you get the lines out, just lift this entire box, remove the sensor, air temp sensor, disconnect that. Come on, boy. Get that out of the way. Now you have access to the alternator. As you can see, we do have to remove that bracket here. One bracket here that has to be disconnected. The bottom of the alternator has two bolts that you can see. I'm not going to completely remove those bolts. I'm going to loosen them up and lift the alternator out. But before you do any of that, you have to disconnect the belt. That can be done by accessing the tensioner right there. You can mark down your belt rotation on a piece of paper. That helps to get the job done quickly, and then move on with the repairs. At this point, I'm going to disconnect all the bolts. I need to remove all the harnesses from the alternator. I do have a battery that is disconnected. Make sure you do that so you don't have any fuse that are blown from arcing from positive to ground, which will happen. All right, here we are. Harnesses are out of the way. Now, let's remove those brackets. Yes. Perfect. You got to be careful, don't drop these bolts. This is not easy to access area. Once you get all the bolts out, just lift the bracket out of your way. Now we got two bolts up front. You can see one right there. One right there is what we're going to work on. As I said, I'm not going to completely remove those bolts. Just loosen them enough so I can lift the alternator out of the way. And that's it. Let's see. I can do it with one hand. Alright, perfect. This is a perfect time to match your new alternator to the old one to make sure you have a correct one before you put it in the car. So at this point, I check the positive rectifier plug. I see it's a 3-pin and a 2 sliders, 3 pins and 2 sliders on the top. Turn it over. You got to check the pulley count. So you got how many grooves on there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many we got in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 grooves, pulley is correct. Next thing you can do is check the actual diameter of the pulley by simply putting the alternator next to it. And in my case, it is perfect. If it is not, no reason to return the alternator. Open the bolt and swap the pulley over. Now, installation is of course this guy does need to be replaced. That's how it should sound. Okay? Anyway, to install this, we're just gonna take it down to the pocket we took the original alternator from. Slide onto those bolts. Like so. And once it's done, right now what I'm gonna do first thing is I'm gonna put top bracket on and then tighten the bottom ones up. So move the alternator forward so the threads are straight forward. They're not going in crooked. It's always a good practice to do a hand tighten before you put your tool to it. Yes. As mechanics, we're used to the direction of the tool when we're working with it. So if we can use tools because we know how to correctly use them, for someone new, you can definitely strip these threads. So let's see. Gotta tighten this guys up. The back ones are not going to tighten all the way. Right now, perfect. Let's tighten the bottom ones. After you confirmed and tightened all the mounting bolts of the alternator, we're going to plug it back, all the plugs connections. So first we're going to connect the rectifier plug here. Perfect. Wait for the here to click. Battery cable. Now I removed it with my air ratchet, but I'm not going to tighten it down with my air ratchet. I'll do it with a hand. I'll use my hand ratchet to tighten this guy. Go back in here. Perfect. Put the insulating cover back on, which is gonna be a freaking, come on dear. Perfect. Alright, so confirm that. I already connected my alternator belt. So if you had marked it down, that would have been very quick for you. One thing you have to make sure is you tighten all the screws for the alternator with the hand ratchet. Right here, these two and these two, including the bottom ones. Once you got everything connected, we will go ahead and put the air ducts back in. To install the air intake tube is basically line it up, push it on, and you have to put all these lines back in. Now, it could be a little bit of pushing and molding these guys. Come on. Perfect. Get this guy back in. Perfect. Now, if you're removing this and you ended up removing this from the other end and you don't know where it goes, don't worry, just go around and it connects to this little elbow right here on top of the valve cover. So route this back up. After we got the air intake tube back on, we're going to plug in the air temperature sensor here. And next we're going to plug in our air box, which does require both hands. So we will plug this. And then there's a plug on the side for the mass airflow meter that has to be plugged in. I just got this locked up. And here is the plug for mass airflow meter that you have to plug. And from what I can tell, it doesn't have any mounting points. It just sits there. There's nothing to mount on it. At least right now there isn't. Next we're going to put the cover back on. So the cover is back here. Put on the screws that we have. And tighten these down. Perfect. And you just officially completed your alternator install. That is how you install an alternator on 2004 Ford Expedition. And of course, I'm going to end up getting a new battery. Once that is done, I'll install that and the car will be ready. Thank you so much for watching. One thing I can tell you, again, is when you remove the belt from the tensioner, it's very easy. The tensioner itself has a square notch for the braking bar for this size to go in. And then what I did was I torqued it down, removed the belt, and released and left my bar in place. I did not want to take it off. When I was finished with my alternator installation, pull the bar back up, put the belt on, and take the bar out. That way you don't have to fiddle with the tensioner after you install the alternator, because the tension position will be different and it will be hard for you to connect your tool to it. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for all your help. Take care. Bye.